Where is the true art coming from within us? Right there. Did you catch it? I'm gonna have to surrender to a very humble way of saying it's hard for me to put into words. I've felt it, but I would be probably a better person to ask, what are some ways you've used to surrender to it? But I'm not sure what that source really is. I don't think I've gotten to that point. I know when I've surrendered to it. I know when I've tasted it. You know, I've gone through periods of time calling it the real thing. I didn't know what else to call it, saying once you've tasted the real thing, you can never go back. You always know how to, you know, the distinct flavor between the real thing and everything else. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed that coming through moments where I've been writing music, or through moments where I've just been meditating or taking a walk. I use the example of washing the dishes and having an amazing experience washing the dishes, where I was actually frustrated at first, thinking I never have time to meditate, I never have peace and quiet. And then it just dawned on me that that was me off somewhere else, and I wasn't here where it was happening. And I could have been present right there and right then as I was complaining, but I chose to be complaining. And it, in that moment of humility, I surrendered to the fact that I am washing the dishes. This is what's placed before me. Whereas I'm begging for a quiet room with incense burning so I can sit Indian style with my eyes closed, because that's my idea of how I should be mindful. However, this is the moment placed before me, and it's disrespectful to the moment, whether it be washing dishes or having a conversation with somebody or whatever it may be during your day, thinking that you can't bring that mindfulness to it, whatever it might be, but that it seems to be the source. And let's say I've just begun a relationship with this source not too long ago, and I'm getting to know it. So I wouldn't hazard to speak too much of it, but I know the process that I've gone through to arrive at that moment, at those moments of where I believe the artistic process is really, really vibrating, and I'm really resonating with it, and I recognize that it is always there, and now I've just quieted my, you know, nonsense enough to where I am tasting the real thing. And the only thing I can say about that is, in those moments, I end up stopping, and a tear will come out, and I just realize it's that simple. You know, whatever it is, whether I'm experiencing a panic attack, whether I'm in an argument with somebody, or a really deep low moment in my life, or a very high moment. Sometimes those very high moments bring me away from what's actually going on. I get wrapped up in the exhilaration of life and having thousands of people around, you know, talking about films that I've done, or at a show and performing and getting off stage, and sometimes that great feeling seems to rip me away from it, that moment. So really it turns into the process for me arriving at that source, at that moment. Usually starts with that, and then something emerges. Whenever I reach a moment like that, where I'm experiencing it, and I want to go deeper in it and nurture that moment and nurture that experience. There are some times where I've felt, okay, when I really feel a deep connection to somebody, what is it, what's the process that's happening within me when I'm feeling a deep connection with somebody? And when I recognize that, again, without making it personal to somebody else or even personal to what I believe I am, there's a thread or a process happening in that moment. So I simply surrender the thought that I know what I'm doing with that moment, or think, because there are some times where I just want more of it, and it's almost a greedy thing, and like, I think it's in the Tao Te Ching, when you try and hold nature, you're spoiling it, in a sense. Nature is just happening through you. There's a certain form of quietude, or silence, that nurtures that moment. And it's hard to say because it's not necessarily auditory. A lot of things can distract me from it. Visual things, sensory things. But to nurture that moment, it seems like all my answers are really getting back to the same thing. It starts with that breath, and there's that thing that's just happening. So to nurture it, just pay attention to when I'm actually most receptive to it. What does that moment feel like? And then I begin realizing, that's the real thing. That's the real thing that I'm experiencing there. And to be honest, there are fleeting, flashing moments. Sometimes I'll go months, and then there'll just be this moment that's just like, and that was all it needed. It's like it works outside of time. It was like it almost didn't happen. Just like a frame going from one frame to the next frame in a movie. You're just like, oh shit, okay. And there seems to be this alignment or correction. But I don't know. The more I have those experiences, the more that those moments seem to happen, it almost feels like I don't command them. They happen when it's needed. I'm on my path, and it's kind of like when you see somebody trying to wake up and they're opening an eye and they just go back to sleep. And then they wake up a little bit and just go back to sleep. Seems like to be those moments where you wake up to something and then it goes. And then you feel great from it. You're still feeling what that was, and then, the first time it happened to me on a large scale, it lasted 9 months. And then there's this subtle kind of not feeling it anymore, and then feeling really grumpy actually after those 9 months. And then I felt like I kind of lost it, and then I felt grumpy for 5-6 months, like, where did it go? What did I do wrong? And realized that maybe I didn't do anything wrong. Maybe it just wasn't meant to last for an extended period of time, and it just seems to be happening quicker and quicker and quicker. So I apologize if I'm dodging that question in a way, but I'm not sure that I do nurture those moments. I cherish the moments. Maybe that's the only way that I do nurture them. They seem to find me more than I find them.